New York prosecutors and defense lawyers for former IMF chief Dominic Strauss-Kahn met for nearly 2 hours without any apparent resolution yesterday as the sex assault case against him appeared to be falling apart. Both sides have declined to give any details of the meeting. China's foreign ministry declined to comment on whether former Chinese President Jiang Zemin, who came to power after the Tiananmen Square protest in 1989, has died. Earlier yesterday, a Hong Kong news report announced Jiang's death. Dozens of protesters clapped hands outside the Belarus embassy in Moscow yesterday during an action staged to support opposition activists in Belarus. Hundreds of people have been protesting for more than a month in Belarus against the government and economic hardship. The wet and windy wait is almost over for thousands of Harry Potter fans who have been camped out in London's Trafalgar Square for days ahead of today's premiere of one of the most successful movie franchises in film history. Many have been staking out their spot, lining the enormous red carpet since Monday in eager anticipation of seeing their favorite stars and celebrated series author J.K. Rowling.
And for the very latest from the world of sports, we now have Ramesh Irugal Bandar in the studio. Good evening, Ramesh.
Good evening, Ravi.
So far in the news, we've had little good news. Any good news from the world of sports?
Unfortunately, Ravi, I have more bad news coming your way as we suffered defeats in both the netball and cricketing arena. All this coming up right now on Sports First. Starting things off with some cricket news, England levelled the 5-match one-day series against Sri Lanka at 2-all yesterday with an emphatic 10-wicket win at Trent Bridge in Nottingham. For an in-depth analysis on the game, we are now joined by former Test cricket captain Arjuna Ranatunga.
The fourth one-day between Sri Lanka and England started very badly. After winning the toss, England put Sri Lanka into bat, mainly because of the greenish wicket they produce in this particular game. We were talking about this for the last couple of weeks. We saw how Sri Lankan top order batsmen struggle with the moving ball and the seaming ball. It happened once again, and when you lose 2-3 early wickets with the knee ball, it's very difficult for some of the middle order batsmen to come and settle down, especially with the moving ball. I'm very surprised to see Kumar Sangakkara batting at number 4. I always felt that he is one of the best batsmen we have, especially with the moving ball and the pace. And I'm surprised that he's batting at number 4. He should have been at number 3 because if he bats at number 3, he is one person who can control the particular innings. And I was very disappointed with batsmen like Kandambi, Jeevan Mendes, then Matthews. Whenever they get the opportunities, I'm sure they should have capitalized on that. When England came into bat, I felt the 2 or 3 bowlers didn't bowl at the right areas. Especially they didn't use the greenish wicket. They didn't try to move the ball. They were trying to bowl fast, but unfortunately it didn't happen. And the 2 England batsmen, the way they batted, they were very positive. They hit the loose ball to boundaries, and when they need to leave the ball, they did that very, very comfortably. I feel very sorry for Cook. He could have ended up getting 100, but on the other hand, I'm sure that Cook must be a very happy man to get this series 2-all before they go to the final one-day game. It will be very interesting to see what sort of wicket England will produce once again. If it's a greenish track, help the seam bowlers, I'm sure Sri Lanka might struggle. But if it's a very good batting track, I'm sure that Sri Lanka can end up this series 3-2.
The Sri Lanka netball team suffered their 4th straight defeat at the 2011 World Netball Championships in Singapore today. The Sri Lankan women suffered a 63-59 defeat at the hands of Barbados. Sri Lanka took on Barbados today, seeking a win to move up the world netball rankings. However, the players from Barbados took an early lead with the scores reading 18 points to 13 after the end of the first quarter. The players from the Caribbean added 16 more points to their tally in the second quarter, while Sri Lanka managed to add 18 points. As a result, the first half ended with Barbados enjoying a narrow 3-point lead with the scores reading 31 to 34. Barbados eventually wrapped up the closely contested game with a 63-59 scoreline. Sri Lanka currently occupy the 18th spot in the world netball rankings, while Barbados is ranked 17th. Sri Lanka suffered defeats in their previous 3 games as well, losing to Northern Ireland, Samoa and Australia. Up next is the bitter truth. The Minister of Sports issued this letter on the 28th of February highlighting the importance of transparency in sports associations and federations in order for sportsmen and women to reach international standards. Under the powers vested in the Sports Minister through the Sports Act, he issued this letter to all sports associations and federations. This letter includes 12 regulations which all sports federations and associations should adhere to. The first regulation included in the letter states that officials cannot hold positions within national sporting bodies if a family member is engaged in the respective sport at national level. However, Chairman of the Western Province Badminton Association L.R. Ariyalan charges that the Department of Sports Development has granted approval to 2 individuals who violate this regulation to compete at the Sri Lanka Badminton Association election, which will be held tomorrow. He charges that as the sons of the 2 individuals take part in national level events, if elected to positions within the Sri Lanka Badminton Association, it could cause an injustice to other badminton players in the future. The chairman of the Western Province Badminton Association noted that he had submitted a letter to the Department of Sports Development citing his opposition. However, the Director General of the Department of Sports Development, Ranjani Jayakodi, stated that she had not received such a letter. She added that she is ready to take the necessary steps if an objection is presented along with the necessary evidence. Will sports officials act in order to ensure transparency in the election for the Badminton Association? Sports First is on the lookout. Meanwhile, speaking to Sports First, Parakram Brasnaika, who is competing for the post of chairman of the Sri Lanka Badminton Association, noted that the 2 sons of the individuals in question compete at school level and not at national level. He added that due to this, there are no restrictions for the individuals to compete at tomorrow's election. However, according to former national badminton coach Chintaka Fernando, school players who compete at international tournaments representing the country are in fact considered national level players. Well, that's it from Sports First for tonight. It's back to the main desk.
Thank you, Ramesh, for that comprehensive roundup of sports.
Well, remember, you can always log on to our website. That's www.newsfirst.lk or www.ethalia.com. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kumarini Rajakaruna.
And I'm Ravi Gamage. Good night.